U.S. has a federal government system built on separation of powers, with three branches working together: the legislative, executive, and judicial branches. The legislative branch makes the laws. It's made up of Congress, which has two chambers: Senate, 100 members, 2 per state, serving 6-year terms. It has 3 classes, replacing one after every 2 years. House of Representatives, 435 members based on state population, serving 2-year terms. All 435 seats are up for elections every 2 years. Popular votes of all the districts select them every 2 years. Together, they draft and pass laws that shape the nation. Also keep a check on the executive branch. The executive branch enforces the laws. It's led by the president, elected every 4 years, supported by the vice president and the cabinet. The judicial branch interprets the laws. The Supreme Court, with 9 justices serving for life, ensures laws align with the Constitution. So let's talk about the executive branch now, which consists of president, vice president, and a cabinet. For electing a president, the Electoral College is separately designed. Let's try to understand the Electoral College presidential election in a simple way. The Electoral College consists of a total 538 members, including 535 from all the 50 states and 3 from the District of Columbia. Here you can raise a question. Why 538 tones? The answer is simple. If we talk about Electoral College members, it mirrors Congress membership. The Electoral College has 535 members from all 50 states, plus 3 from the District of Columbia. So this way we have 538 members in total. Let's look at the map. California has a maximum 54 electoral votes, while the minimum vote a state can have is 3 bars. Alaska, Delaware, District of Columbia, and few more states have 3 electoral votes. Process begins with primary and caucus at the start of the election year. For example, the final polling day for president is on the first Tuesday of November, but primary and caucus starts in January of that year. Primaries are state-level elections where voters cast secret ballots for their preferred candidate, while caucuses are more of a local gathering than a formal election. Instead of casting secret ballots, voters attend meetings at specific locations, such as schools or community centers, to discuss and publicly vote for their preferred candidate. Both primaries and caucuses are designed to help each party choose the candidate who has the best chance of winning in the general election. The results from these events determine how delegates are allocated to candidates. Delegates then attend the national party conventions, where they cast their votes for the nominee based on the results of the primaries and caucuses. The primary and caucus season usually starts in January of the election year and continues through June. Overall, primaries and caucuses are fundamental components of the U.S. electoral system, providing a way for party members to have a say in selecting their presidential candidates. After the primary and caucuses, the Democratic and Republican national conventions typically take place in the summer of the election year, usually in July or August. At the conventions, delegates formally nominate the party's candidate for president and vice president. This is when the final count of delegates from the primaries and caucuses is officially tallied. The party also adopts its official platform, which outlines its policies and positions on key issues. The convention is a significant event, often featuring speeches from key party figures, including the nominees themselves, who will usually accept the nomination in a high-profile address. Once the nominees are officially chosen, the focus shifts to the general election campaign. The nominees from the Democratic and Republican parties, along with any third party or independent candidates, will campaign across the country to win the support of voters. Presidential and vice presidential debates are a major part of this phase, providing a platform for candidates to present their policies and challenge their opponents on national television. The general election campaign involves intense fundraising, media appearances, and political advertising aimed at swaying undecided voters and securing electoral votes. The general election takes place on the first Tuesday after the first Monday in November. On Election Day, voters across the country cast their ballots for their preferred presidential candidate. Each state has a certain number of electoral votes based on its representation in Congress. Most states have a winner-takes-all system where the candidate who wins the majority of the popular vote in that state gets all of its electoral votes. For example, California has 54 electoral votes, So if Republicans win the majority of popular votes in California, then they get all the 54 electoral votes based on winner-take-all rule. Same for all the states except Maine and Nebraska. Maine allocates its electoral votes using the district method. The state has a total of 4 electoral votes. 2 are awarded to the candidate who wins a statewide popular vote, and 1 electoral vote is awarded to the candidate who wins in each of the state's 2 congressional districts. The state of Nebraska has 5 electoral votes. 2 are awarded to the candidate who wins the statewide popular vote, and 3 electoral votes are awarded to the candidates who win in each of the state's 3 congressional districts. For winning the presidency, a party candidate needs to win at least 270 electoral votes out of 538. Although the popular vote is counted and reported on election night, the official result comes from the Electoral College vote, which takes place in December. In mid-December, the electors meet in their respective states to cast their votes for president and vice president. These votes are then sent to Congress. In early January, Congress meets in a joint session to count the electoral votes and officially certify the results of the election. On January 20th, following the election, the newly elected president and vice president are sworn into office during the inauguration ceremony, marking the official start of the new administration. So this was the general and simplified explanation of how the presidential election in the U.S. works. In the next video, we will cover the negative aspects of the Electoral College and briefly explain the history of the Electoral College. Please subscribe to us for more of such amazing content.